Hey, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for clicking on Monday night. That means Chris comes on here in just a few short minutes, and it is World Sit Rep time, World Situation Report on the Smart People Show. Um, we got just too much to list. That's the title of tonight's show because a lot of things going on, and a lot of things have been going on, and we're going to talk about um, Israel, of course, but we're going to talk about Israel. The main topic of conversation after we get through the basic news stuff is going to be a little bit different tonight. So hang out if you will. And again, thank you for joining. Thank you for clicking on. Whether you're watching live, no matter what platform you're watching on, or if you're watching at your convenience, we greatly appreciate you watching. And if you'd like to be part of the chat, you can go to the YouTube channel and just simply join the chat. And otherwise, you don't get to see the chat or engage in the chat because the other platforms we're on, the chats don't come through here. So that's that. Please hit the like button if you enjoy what you're seeing tonight. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. Hi, Guy. Thank you for hopping on here. I'm hanging in there, man. I hope you're doing okay as well. And with that being said, let's run down some stories here real quick before Chris comes on. And let's start with this from the New York Post. There could easily be a civil war, quote unquote. Why younger Americans are stockpiling food, water, and guns ahead of the 2024 election. Yeah, that's just that's just one of those things to think about. Young people actually considering what may be happening. We also have this headline: Israel has airstrikes against the Hezbollah operational headquarters in Lebanon, and that is an escalation in the northern theater of Israel. Hang on a second. There we go. This from the Jerusalem Post. Israel has intensified efforts to track down Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, and he is the one that is the mastermind, if you will, behind orchestrating, planning, practicing, and eventually implementing what happened on October the 7th in Israel from Hamas. From Newsweek 6 hours ago, Donald Trump's proposal to monitor voters sparks concern. Trump, in his latest speech in Iowa, said, "We need to get down to places like Atlanta and Philadelphia and Detroit, and we need to get in and see what's going on in the vote. We need to watch what's going on in the voting places." That could be interpreted by many people as a sign of intimidation, and a lot of Americans really value the privilege to vote and take that very seriously. And the vote is something not to be tampered with or secret. And so that's why the concern. Powerful earthquakes caused widespread panic in the Philippines. This came in a day ago from the LA Times, and they were indeed powerful earthquakes. If you've seen some of the video, some tsunami warnings were issued, but nothing of significance. And the hope is that there have been more than one fairly significant earthquake in that part of the Ring of Fire. If you know anything at all about volcanology, the whole Pacific Ocean basically is encircled with active volcanic activities as well as shifting plates and potential earthquake zones. Putin sets his sights on the next country. "Quote unquote," Russia is preparing for war, and the next country is Moldavia or Moldova. And Moldova, let's hop over here to the map real quick. Moldova is the country right here, just to the south and to the west, Ukraine. Um, I think that's a ploy. I don't, I think he's announcing that. People will go, "Why? Whoa, what's going on?" When in fact it's Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and possibly even Poland that will be the next targets because of the Zelensky gap here. This little gap that is a border of Lithuania and Poland. It cuts this Russian oblast off from Belarus, the nearby satellite, probably can be the best term used now. It's not really as much an independent country as it was at one time. It's more a puppet of Russia, and a troubling thing. Um, a lot of talk in Russia about reconstituting the Soviet Union and taking over the countries that were under the Soviet thumb during the Soviet Union. And that goes all the way over to halfway through Germany, where Germany was cut off and sectioned off, with much of it under, with East Germany under Russian control. So a whole lot of people that are enjoying freedom now are being threatened, at least verbally, by the possibility of a reinstitution of the Soviet Union. And then we come down here to Turkey, and the president of Turkey, Erdogan, says he wants to reconstitute the Ottoman Empire. For those that don't know your world history, the Ottoman Empire did not falter until shortly after World War I. So it was not all that long ago. And basically, he's talking about going all the way over to the Great Wall of China and having all of this being dominated by Turkey. Then you've got what's going on down in South America. We'll bypass Africa for the moment, but down in South America, Venezuela, Guyana, Venezuela yesterday on Sunday voted, supposedly 97% of the population voted to take over basically 80% of Guyana. So that is something that is going to be watched by us, and we'll be reporting on that as it progresses. We won't be on Wednesday night. As I said, Chris is going to be on here in just a couple of minutes. We won't be on Wednesday night with the World Sit Rep, the Smart People Show, because I'll be doing debate coverage for the fourth Republican presidential primary debate. So we'll have a watch along party for that, beginning about 7:30 on Wednesday. The North Dakota governor, Doug Burgum, has dropped out of the 2024 presidential race. Most people didn't even know he was in it. There was a march for Palestine today. There were several marches for Palestine today. We're going to touch on one in New York coming up here in a few short minutes, but there was one in Los Angeles. Now, the one in Los Angeles was a children's march for Palestine. Now, I don't know if there were, it says thousands in LA take part in the Children's March for Palestine to demand an end to the hostilities. I don't know if there were thousands there. I don't know if the footage we saw was of that. The event did go off. The footage we're going to show coming up from New York City definitely, I know, went off, and definitely I know is for real. We've talked a lot about this over the past couple of years on this show. We used to do a Science Tuesday show, and the fact that Earth's magnetic magnetic field is weakening, and we've talked a lot about the potential of things going awry because of the radiation coming in from the sun. And we've been really lucky. We've been really fortunate in that there have been a lot of near misses and a lot of just glancing blows, if you will. Um, and there's a major hole in the sun, a coronal hole, um, a supermassive coronal hole. And it's going to be projecting a lot of solar wind at a minimum. We don't know if they're going to be plasma ejections. We don't know what's going to be coming over the next 3 or 4 days. But if you notice, if you have a problem with GPS, if you have a problem with your electronics, or if you have headaches, or if you're feeling weaker or depressed, or it can go the other way, and you can feel energized, and depending on how you react to the incoming solar energy. But don't be surprised if there aren't some changes occurring over the next few days, because this is a pretty massive event, and we really don't know the impact it could have, and we really aren't sure how weak our magnetic field is. Just one of those things, one of those something to think about things that we like to toss out at you. Um, let's see. A couple of stories on Biden, real quick. I don't think Chris is in here yet. Um, Bank records show direct monthly payment from Hunter Biden's corporation to Joe Biden. This came in 9 hours ago from the National Review. And if that is indeed true, it's going to open up a whole can of worms right before the 2024 election. Biden pushes to allow illegal aliens to live in national parks using federal funds. Um, I know a lot of you are probably, what? And I'm doing the same thing. There's being a humanist, if you will, and trying to understand that people want to come to this country for a better life. Um, there's being a moralist and wanting to do what's right, but you have to balance it with being a realist. And uh, realistically, in my personal opinion, we shouldn't be trying to repurpose our national parks. We should be closing um, our border to those that are coming in illegally, instead of giving the appearance that it's okay. And I'm not against immigration. All right, I was married to a Canadian that came across legally. Um, there are times I wish border would have done a better job and maybe not let her in. No, but illegally coming into the country and then being welcomed, and even at times knowing in advance from others that have done it how to work the system, if you will, um, is not going to be a positive for our country, in my opinion. All right, so this came in a day ago. Biden pushes to allow illegal aliens to live in national parks. Pretty sure I heard Chris pop in, and I did. So we will go over here, and there we go. Hello, Chris.
Hey, Barry, how are you this evening?
I'm all right. How are you?
Great, 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 great.
Well, Biden wants to use national parks to house illegal immigrants. Um, I don't know if they understand how cold it is in Yellowstone during the winter. It's not a place you want to camp out in. Um, and I'm not really sure the logic behind much of anything anymore.
Well, it frees up a whole lot of space in the cities. I can tell you that much, right?
I hadn't even thought about it from that angle, but yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
right.
Oh,
Um, that
okay, yeah, yeah, it does. All right, let's run down the Twitter bookmarks, the X scroll here real quick because we're going to start off, Chris. We're going to start off with the southern border.
uh,
According to Disclosed TV, groups of quote mostly Chinese men crossing illegally into the United States at a border in California. Um, I've got video footage. I don't have it loaded up, but I got video footage of a speedboat coming up on the shore in Malibu, California. 25 people jumping off of it and dispersing into the darkness, and then the boat pulling away.
so
Um,
okay, all right. So there's it's you drive them, drop them off, and leave. To find another way to get in, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
a way
Is
that
there
we.
any? I mean, uh, you know, I know you haven't. I don't. Why? I don't know. But if you were going to advise the U.S. government on what to do in this situation, what would you be saying?
Especially about the borders. Like
Yes,
just
specifically about the borders.
shut down the borders. Period. Shut them down.
Yeah,
No migrants should be allowed into this country unless they're documented. You know what I'm saying? If
yeah, I
if,
do.
if you're not documented, you shouldn't be in here. That's simple.
Okay, now talk about the security risk this open border potentially poses.
All right, so everyone's worried about the terrorists and all this other stuff. I'm like, I'm not so much worried about terrorists. I'm really more. I mean, but you have the drug cartels that come through and they set up shop in the United States and do whatever they want to do for the most part. You know, I mean, like you have a lot of Haitians coming in. Just people from all walks of life coming in. Not to say that they're bad, but when I see a whole bunch of Chinese men coming in, Chinese
Yeah,
men, military age. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not going to profile. I really shouldn't profile, but that's kind of anomaly. You know,
How are they getting here? How are they getting out of a country that's controlled with a death grip? How are they getting out of there all the way over here? It's not that somebody's paying for this
of course,
all to
of
happen.
course, of course. Someone, no, see, here's the thing, right? Here's what we don't know. We don't know if these men are, actually Chinese, nationals working for the government trying to infiltrate into the United States. We don't know this, right? But it
Right.
seems like if all these people are military age males and they're coming through the border, that's like they're up to no good. That's
I
just
would think so. I mean, that's just, I don't know.
you know.
Again, I'm not sure what to think about a whole lot of things anymore. Confusing situation in the Yemeni capital of Sana'a,
Yeah.
as almost all claim to have heard four explosions in the city. Sounds of aircraft appear to have been heard by some and not others, because this is a report came out before this that it was definitely aircraft and there were definitely four explosions. And now, as the intel's being sifted, there's somewhat a confusing situation. But when you see four explosions in the capital city of Yemen, my first thought goes to the Houthi rebels more than it would be to us, um, reciprocating for what happened yesterday in the Red Sea.
Ooh. Uh, Four explosions, and you heard aircraft.
The sound of aircraft appears to have been heard by some, but not others. So it could be drones.
Possibly.
We
Well,
don't know.
you probably wouldn't have heard the drones. I mean, if they're talking about aircraft, you know, aircraft makes a distinctive sound. So it could be drones. It could be Israeli drones. You know, um, with payloads, and they're shooting at you know um, the government
Ah,
of of Yemen. You know,
Okay. Yeah. Um, this came in 3 hours ago. Hundreds of Palestinian supporters marched through, shutting down Williamsburg Bridge, and they're now marching through Lower East Side, New York. Officers are quickly jumping to block protesters from going into Starbucks and McDonald's locations. Um, we just showed that children's protest in L.A. Um, are we seeing are we seeing a massive support for Palestine when we don't see a whole lot of pro-Israel marches? Is that something that we can equate, or is this just the passion of those, or possible whatever motivation for the Palestinian pro-Palestinian people to get into the streets?
I think it's a passion, you know, and that passion. I mean, as this dwindles on, you know, as this war dwindles on, um, I think that passion is gonna burn out. It can only last but for so long, you know. I
Mm-hmm.
think people are gonna get tired, and you're gonna see like you're gonna see it start to fizzle out after a while. You are. I hope. Yeah, I may be wrong, but you know, how many protests you gonna do weekly? You know, you
Yeah,
can
this
only do, you can only do but so much.
they've been going almost every day at some in some part of New York City. I don't know if they're all the same protesters or what, but um, we also we're going to touch on tonight, um, who are the Israelites? Who are the Israelites? Who are the Jewish people? And who are the Zionists? And I played this the other night, actually last night in the weekend wrap. Um, that that they show the actual lineage of the people um, running Israel, and they're Irish and Polish, and they're from Ukraine and Iraq, um, Morocco, Serbia. Um, Now they're all in Israel now. They all reside in Israel now. Does that make them Israelites?
No, it does not.
All right, all right.
It,
We'll get into more in depth on that coming up here in a few minutes. Um, because you have to. It's like, let's say we come from America, so we're Americans, but not all of us are Hoosiers or Buckeyes from Ohio, or you know, uh, Cowboys from Texas. Um, and it was the term the term Jewish comes from a specific tribe, and we're going to get into that. Um, so hang around, everybody. I also showed this, and I want to go back to this. I think we talked about this, Chris, Friday night. This is from February 25th in 2009. Um, so some 11 years before the COVID. Quote, once the herd accepts mandatory vaccinations, it's game over.
yeah.
They will accept anything, forcible blood or organ donation, quote, for the greater good, end quote. We can genetically modify children and sterilize them for the greater good. Control sheep minds and you control the herd. Vaccine makers stand to make billions, and many of you in this room are investors. It's a big win win. We thin out the herd, and the herd pays us for it.
Oh boy.
He also said, who controls the food supply controls the people. Who controls the energy can control whole continents. And who controls money can control the world.
Didn't Kissinger say that?
Yeah, that's what I said. He also said that.
Yeah,
Kissinger also said that.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, by the way, this is a good time for me to do this. I haven't done this in a long time. Obviously, you get dust. I've got a book that's called America, Land of the Greed, Home of the Grave, instead of Land of the Free, Home of the Brave. This is what we've turned into. It's available on Amazon as well as my other books. So, um, Kissinger, one more thing about him. And this comes from November the 27th in 1972, a memorandum for Mr. Henry Kissinger at the White House. This is the Department of State, again, November 27th, 1971, instead of 72. It's got 72 up here. Adolf Hitler is buried in Spain in a cemetery of the Almudena. After World War II, the government of Francisco Franco concealed him in Madrid, and there he died at the age of 68.
Mm.
So Kissinger also knew that Hitler was still alive, allegedly. I just found that rather like kind of mind blowing. I've heard a lot of, Hitler didn't die in the bunker. Hitler escaped to Argentina was the primary thing I'd been hearing for
Oh yeah.
decades. Yeah, but I'd never heard about Franco taking him in, which this looks like a legitimate document, but who knows these days? Oh, wait a minute. Here we got context added. It is a doctored version of the memo, which covers matters relating to the Uruguayan elections of the year. Okay, so we delete this, and there we go. And we forget that ever happened because that wasn't true, which I'm kind of glad it wasn't. That I'd never heard of that. Um, this is an interview. David Rockefeller admitting Henry Kissinger was indeed Rockefeller's protege, and also Klaus Schwab admitting Henry Kissinger was his mentor. We talked about Schwab wanting one world currency, which would be a Bitcoin that you would only be able to utilize through your personal identity card, which will track your carbon usage and which can lead to a whole slippery slope of domination. He who controls the money controls the world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I got just a couple of more here, and then we're going to get into our main topic of the night. But Kissinger was not was not a he was not a humanitarian. Let's just put it
Nah,
that way.
that's for sure.
Depopulation should be the highest priority of foreign policy towards the third world because the U.S. economy will require large and increasing amounts of minerals from abroad, especially from less developed countries. That sounds like typical Kissinger to me. Um, okay, the IDF has launched a massive invasion, if you will, an offensive against southern Gaza. They're headed for the Khan Yunis hospital in the center of the province there. Dozens of tanks, armored bulldozers. IDF reached the main road in the middle of the strip, told civilians to evacuate along the coast. Um, so they're driving them into the ocean because there's no way for them to evacuate along the coast.
Mm.
Long.
No, you're right. You're right.
Um, this is for the women, okay? This is for the women viewers. Gary Parcell has said that he has created a bathroom schedule for his wife. Sounds a little bit like Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory, but created a bathroom schedule for his wife to help her align her day in a more orderly way. Husbands, lead your wife and manage her well, including giving her a bathroom schedule, apparently, so she can fulfill her God given role and serve you. And this is from 1 Corinthians 14:40. Uh, 2023. And I don't know, man. The women I know would be say what?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You're going to tell me when I can go to the bathroom?
Right.
Um, but anyway, so ladies, there you go. Uh, this is Omer. He is an immigrant um, into England, and he lives free in a Derby hotel, and he's doing a video on Cashapp or on TikTok, uh, making it rain, and it has become quite controversial on the old internet, as you might imagine. This is one I think you might like, Chris. Marjorie Taylor Greene, author of MTG, says, quote, I know a ton of white people that are as lazy and sorry and probably worse than black people I know, end quote.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
I mean, why not just say, hey, I'm a congresswoman and I'm a racist?
right. Yeah, I mean, but I think people
Not that she's not telling the truth, because there are a bunch of people in all of our country that are
lazy,
uh,
lazy.
not okay, yeah, and not using their brains, not critically thinking.
Yeah, that's most of this country. People lack basic critical thinking skills.
And I've got something that really defies politics. Okay, this is Chris Christie's quote. If Trump is our nominee, we will not only lose the presidency again, but we will lose both houses of Congress and we'll lose races up and down the ticket. He's political poison. Why do I say that's politics? Because Christie has also vowed to vote for Trump if he is the nominee. For
Uh,
real. Yeah. I mean, um, Christian Ziegler, the chair of Florida's Republican Party, says he will not resign over a woman's allegation that he raped her.
yeah,
In an
you see,
email,
you know what, and you know what, I'm tired of this BS. All this Me Too stuff. Anytime, you know, a political party or the opposition wants to um, get someone out, it always comes out with this sexual assault allegation. You know,
yeah, and
it's see they've weaponized these women. That's what they've done. Okay, they've weaponized this whole sexual assault thing, and we're gonna drop the statute of limitations, and they weaponized women to carry out their agendas. You see, and it's foul. It's real foul.
well, this in this particular case, it's also very hypocritical because his wife is the co-founder of Moms for Liberty, which is a far right. Here's how it's a Christo-fascist movement in some people's eyes, in that they want to tell everybody here is the code of morality that you will live by, and a lot of people do not like that, and especially in Florida, where the big thing last summer was don't say gay, and attacking the LGBTQ community, Disney, all of that. So now the big slogan in Florida, instead of don't say gay, is it's okay if it's a three-way. So, and that's a joke, by the way, even though
Yeah,
I don't have the laughter.
you know what? I think that's really really dangerous, and I sincerely hope if you accuse people of this stuff and it's not true,
Oh,
I wonder how are these people being held accountable for this?
well, so far, neither one have resigned. Um,
Right.
but I think they have admitted there was a three-way, a long-standing, consensual three-person relationship. But the third person has now saying that the leader of Florida's Republican Party raped her. So um, we'll find out how it all
Yeah.
plays out.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
we got a lot of stuff, you know. Um, After airing Trump's speech for 24 minutes on Saturday, Fox News cut away for a fact check. And the lady said, quote, as you heard many untruths, the 2020 election was not rigged. It was not stolen. So, and here she's saying it. Um, that $700 million fine made some people at Fox stand up and take notice. Um, but I was kind of surprised to hear that they cut away in the middle of his speech. Liz Cheney says Trump will stay in power forever if he's reelected. And Trump says we've been waging an all out war on American democracy. And there's some controversy as if he actually said that. So,
opponents, but we've been waging an all-out war in American democracy. You our opponents, and we had a lot of opponents, but we've been waging an all-out war in American democracy.
So he did say it. Whether he, whatever he meant, who knows? Muslim leaders from several swing states on Saturday descended on Dearborn, Michigan, to launch a national campaign against the reelection of President Joe Biden, a response to his handling of Israel-Hamas conflict. This is according to Politico. So, do they not know that Trump is also pro-Israel?
Yeah. Exactly. So, like, what do you think's gonna happen when Trump gets in? You
What
know.
do you think's going to happen when Trump gets in?
You know. Is,
Okay, Venezuela. Go ahead.
is it gonna get better or is it gonna get worse? Probably get
Yeah,
worse on you.
it's going to get worse on you. I guarantee it's going to get worse on you.
Right. Right.
Um, and it will. And see, the thing is, the far right, they aren't really involved. You know,
Mhm.
the Trumpers, if you will, they aren't involved in this Palestinian Israeli thing because they hate both of them. You
Right.
know, they don't like either one, so they don't have a side.
Right.
Venezuela claims that 10 million people voted in the referendum to incorporate the oil-rich Essequibo region of the neighboring state of Guyana into Venezuela. 97.5% of the country voted to steal the Guianan land. Uh, it now remains to be seen whether Venezuela will invade Guyana. Well, why would they have a vote to try to legitimize and then not invade?
Right. Right. Right.
Come on. Um, an Iranian drone over the USS Eisenhower aircraft in the Persian Gulf is being watched by Americans in, I think this is an AC-130 gunship um, that were ready to, you can see the Eisenhower. If you look real close, you can see the Eisenhower down here and the drone up here and the plane ready to um, intercept the drone if necessary. Now, um, the Navy Minister of Iran has announced that Iran, Russia, and China are going to be holding joint military, joint naval exercises in the Persian Gulf, um, and have invited Brazil and South Africa to monitor along with 21 other
Right.
countries. So people need to understand the BRICS thing's real.
That's correct. That's right. That's very, very
And
true.
BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India. India is one of the countries that's going to be monitoring, China and South Africa. So they're all involved. And if they are going to be working as allies of Iran, and if Hamas and Hezbollah are also allies of Iran, is this a friend of my friend kind of thing? And are we setting the stage for World War III? Three commercial. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Bear.
3 commercial ships came under attack in the southern Red Sea by Houthi rebels. The Iranian-backed group claimed 2 of the attacks, and during the assault, the U.S. Navy destroyer Carney shot down 3 drones in what the U.S. military said is self-defense. I asked you probably, a month, 2 months ago, if push comes to shove, will Biden drop the hammer? How much more are we going to accept, or are we not as strong as I hope we are?
Well, I guess we're kind of strong. I like to think we're strong.
I would like to think we are too, but if we are, why aren't we showing our strength? And why we're saying sit back down, instead of no responses, or limited response in Iraq and Syria, but nothing as to what's going on coming out of Yemen, at least that we're aware of.
Yeah, they're probably just waiting. I'm pretty much surprised that Israel hasn't struck Yemen. I really am. I mean, like,
I'm kind of surprised at that too. Do maybe they have more of their hands full than we possibly realize?
I think they could, send some fighter jets over and, hey, here's something for you. You want to mess around? Okay, well, let's mess around, and we'll drop you. So
yeah,
I mean, that's the way I'd be thinking. I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for them not to strike. Or because they could be saying it's just like a mosquito. Like go away, go away. You're not that serious. But at the same time, why Israel? I just let them know, hey, look, I'll wreck your stuff. I will wreck you if you keep playing around. You see?
But okay, the ship that was hit most significantly was flew under the flag of Bahama, but it was owned by a company out of the UK. Are these? I mean, if I was in a cargo ship crew in that area, I'd have to be questioning, why isn't somebody ensuring our safety?
Yeah, I normally don't they have? I thought they would have like people on board, maritime and individual on board to protect those ships from pirates and from that from those people trying to.
I don't think they do.
Really?
I don't think they do. No, I need to look into that. I'll research that before we're back on Friday. And I had mentioned to you that Tucker Carlson said he was going to be leading the forces if something happened to Trump, and here he is.
Not allow that. You cannot allow the regime, the president of the United States, to use the Justice Department to knock the front runner out of the race. You can't do that.
No, you can't do that.
So it's bigger than Trump. It's bigger than Biden. It's a question of, do you want to live in a free country with a functioning justice system?
That's exactly
and
right.
So I'm voting for Trump. And if they convict him, I will send him the max donations and I will lead protests. That's how I feel.
That's how I feel.
Because, and by the way, if I
and you reminded everybody, be careful what you say, right?
Mm-hmm. Be very careful, right? Very careful.
Okay, all right. We got down here to where, in case you haven't seen this, go back and watch the episode where we show you that Israel is printing steaks and printing fish on an industrial scale. If you're not already um, totally bewildered by what's going on in the world. All right, let's just go to this map. And Chris, I
Yep.
kind of teased it. Earlier. What's it mean to be an Israelite? And we kind of have to go back to, or what does it mean to be Jewish, or what does it mean to be a Zionist?
Right.
And as far as we kind of have to go back to like the very beginning, right?
Right. So we would actually have to go back to the book of Genesis.
Okay. All right.
And the should we say the generations of Noah. That's actually where it starts.
Okay.
And with the generations of Noah, it breaks down like Noah's sons is going to be Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Okay. So Ham was the father of what we call Africa today, right? And so-called the black race. But then also Shem, who was also black. Okay. That's where should we say the Semites, or the Semitic groups of people came from. So
the tribal people.
Well, yeah, it was tribal people, but
I mean, all of them were tribal people back then. But yeah.
So the whole thing about it is let's take a look at Ham's people first, right? Let's look at Mizraim, which is Egypt. Okay, so Egypt back then was black. Okay, and it's clear because that's a son of Ham. Okay, so he has to be black. Canaan was also son of Ham, and what is known today is modern Israel, but actually extended. Canaan extended all the way up to almost where Turkey is, because it was past Lebanon and Syria. So that was actually Canaan at the time. And
we're talking about the time of the book of Genesis.
Right, exactly.
Yep. Go ahead.
And then that was actually Canaan, but that was also black. Okay, it was also black. That was black people. But then also we take a look at Foot. That was also black, and that was kind of like Northern Africa, like what was I gonna say?
Like Algeria.
Yeah, like Libya and places like that. But it was also Kush. You know what I'm saying? All that area there was all of Africa, pretty much. Was all Hamitic. That means that
descended from Ham.
Exactly. So you had the descendants of Ham. So you had it's going to be Mizraim, Canaan, Put, and I'm trying to figure out who the last one is. I just drew a blank, and I had my notes out, and I just drew a blank. But
that's all right.
Hang on. So let's talk about Mizraim, Put, Canaan, and that's who we're really going to be focused on right now. Okay, and like I said, okay. Kush. So
Kush.
Right. So that whole area of Africa, right, North and South Africa. So everyone likes to talk about North Africa, it was all Africa. Matter of fact, it wasn't even called Africa then. Okay, it wasn't even called Africa. It was just, hey, this is where you're from. You're from Kush, and you know what? Kush, it's Ethiopia, because the term, like, when we talk about the Kushites,
Mm-hmm.
that's Ethiopians. That's what Kushite, or if you're Kushite, Ethiopian. If you're
Okay.
Mizraim, that means you're Egyptian. Okay. If you came from
Okay.
Put, you came from Put, right? That's like Libya. Okay, and
Okay.
then you come from Canaan. Canaan now is nothing more than modern day. Well, it's
An extended version of modern day Israel.
yeah, yeah. It's
Just
actually
the
it's a
the
smaller
borders.
version. Right. It's a smaller version of Israel. And at that time, everyone in every one of those places was black. Okay, was black. Now, not to say that they're African American, because um, see, I think that's where everyone gets things confused. And when we talk about black people, well, they're black people all over the world, and just because you're black doesn't make you African American, right? So
Right.
you have
But a lot of people don't think, a lot of people haven't thought about that. So it's an important point to make. And
right,
also the, in case the less, the white community, if you will, where did the white people come from? Also, if you, look at biblical, um, family trees, if you will, one
right,
of Noah's son was known as the pale one.
right. That's Japheth, and that would be
Right.
Japheth, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we can go into the sons of Japheth real quick. Um, Sons of Japheth, right? Now, the thing about Japheth is these people here make up what we call the white race, right? So Japheth had, sons as well. So let's talk about Japheth's sons, right? So which is nothing more than modern day Europe. That's all it really is. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
one of those sons was one of his grandsons was Ashkenaz, right? And
And
Ashkenaz,
that's where the term the Ashkenazi Jews come from,
right,
the descendants of
right.
Ashkenaz.
Here, there was Japheth, then you had Gomer, Magog, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and Tiras, right? And out of Gomer came Ashkenaz. Okay, so that's actually Germany, right? So that's when you talk about the Ashkenazi Jews, right? That's where that term comes from. German Jew, Ashkenazi Jew, all right? So, and
Mm-hmm.
then, but they come from the line of Japheth. And Japheth was a white guy, but he was not a Semite. He was a Gentile, all right?
Okay.
Um, let's talk about uh, Shem. Let's talk about Shem. Now, this is where the Semites come
Okay.
from. All right. Now, the Semites were also at this time. Keep in mind, we're talking BCE time frame, people. All right. We're not talking like modern day. Um,
No, we're talking like 6,000 years
right.
BC.
Exactly. So
Back when there weren't billions of people, there weren't millions of people, there were possibly thousands of
right.
people.
So you had Shem, his son Elam, Asher, Lud, Aram, Salah, Uz, Hul, Gether, Mash, Eber, right? Eber,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which eventually turned into what? Hebrew, okay? Eber,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's basically the people that now make up the so-called Middle East. But there was no Middle East. There was actually Asia, okay? It was actually Asia. That's what it was.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, at this time, everyone was still black. Okay. Now, everyone know. I think everyone should know that white people are just a genetic mutation of black people. Scientifically, that's what it is. White people are genetic mutation of black people. Does everyone study that in school? Did everyone
No,
get that? You
no, they
didn't?
did not. No, they did not. No way.
Really?
Did no way did they study that in school.
Really?
No, yeah, no way was it ever pointed out that you know the cradle of civilization, the three rivers, the three rivers that are named that come together to to form the Garden of Eden. If you want to go back to your Sunday school childhood stories, the three rivers that come together to form the place where the Garden of Eden was is in Africa.
Right. Exactly.
So um, I don't I don't know how people rationalize um, and I do know because they've become blinded by their faith and blinded by traditions, and it's like this is what my this is what my daddy believed, this is what his daddy believed, this is what his daddy believed. It's good enough for all of them, it's good enough for me. I don't need no education. Um, so no, people were not taught that in school.
Okay. All right. Well, for those that didn't know, because like when I went to school, that in science class, this is like what was taught to us, right? And that's why I'm bringing it out. Now, I'm sure things
Yeah.
have changed over time, you know, but when we were in school, we were taught that white people were genetic mutations of black people. They were just taught that
Okay.
white people are watered down black people. That's all they were. So,
Yeah,
um,
we're all the same. We just have different amounts of pigment or lack thereof.
exactly. So, make a long story short, Japheth was a Gentile. All right, he did not. He was not um, in the line of Ham or Shem, and those are what we call people of the book. Okay. Um, Now we talk about the Israelites, but let me break down this to you first. All right. So we talk about Abraham, right? And
Hmm.
Abraham had a son, right? Abraham. It was Abram first, and then God changed him to Abraham. And Abraham had a wife. Her name was Sarah. Okay, she was
Right.
also a Semite, right? But he also had
Hmm.
another we call a midwife, and her name was Hagar, and she was an Egyptian. Now, Hagar and Abram had a child together whose name was Ishmael. Okay,
Hmm.
Ishmael eventually became the father of the Arabs. Okay, now Sarah and Abraham had a child together who became Isaac, right? So this
This
is
is
where,
after Ishmael's been born.
right, exactly,
Isaac comes along, and
right,
because of the Semitic line,
hmm,
Isaac is favored over
right,
Ishmael.
right.
Isaac, uh, God turns Isaac's name into Israel.
No, no. This is we have to go into Jacob. Okay, so
Right. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
so we after Isaac has a son named Jacob. Okay,
Right.
and this is where um God actually struggles or fights with Jacob and changes his name to Israel. Okay, but in that
Jacob
time,
wrestles with God.
right, and he basically changes his name to Israel, and not basically God changed his name to Israel. So in that, keep in mind that Hagar, right, is an Egyptian. She's a
Uh-huh.
black woman. She's a black woman, and therefore the father of the black or the Arabs was Ishmael, who was also black. Okay, now keep in mind we're talking BCE time frame. Okay,
Right.
from there,
Many thousand years ago.
right, and then Abraham, who was also black, and Sarah, who was also black. They were both Semites. They were all Semites, right?
Mhm.
Gave birth to Isaac, and eventually Isaac had a son, and Isaac was, I think it was Isaac and Rebecca had a son, and it was Jacob. And Jacob, like I said, turned his name to Israel, and out of Israel, that's where the 12
His
tribes come
his
from.
12 sons.
Right, that's where the 12 tribes come from. Okay, so um, in Egypt, Misraim, like I said, was all black too at that time frame. All right, and the Egyptians had enslaved the Israelites. Okay, so since the Egyptians were black and the Egyptians looked like the Israelites and the Israelites looked like the Egyptians. So we take a
That's
look at Moses.
why Moses was so easily accepted as an Israelite.
As
Or I'm sorry, as an Egyptian.
Egyptian, exactly. So here's the thing, right? If 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 the Israelites were white and the Egyptians were black, could you, if you were the Pharaoh and I brought you a white baby and said, "This is your grandson," what would you say? And everyone else around you is black. What would you say?
I don't think so.
Exactly.
Or
Right?
prove it, or yeah,
There's no way.
right.
Right? So we take a look at that and we sit there and say, okay, all right. So in my mind, it's saying that the Egyptians and the Israelites looked alike, right? They were similar in phenotype. But furthermore, when Moses ran away because he killed an Egyptian soldier because the Egyptian excuse me, I can't even speak tonight. Soldier had killed or had beaten up an Israelite.
One of the
Like one of
one
the
of the
Israelites,
Israels
right?
working on the
One of the,
construction.
right, one
Yeah.
of the Israelites. What happened? He ran away, and one of the shepherds thought he was what? An Egyptian, even though he was an Israelite. So once again, it goes back to show you that the Israelites and Egyptians looked alike, right? Okay, so
Mhm. And for those that don't know what we're talking about, all you got to do is read the Old Testament of the Bible. I know there are a lot of people claim Christianity just because of the verse John 3:16 without understanding the New Testament, let alone without reading the Old Testament.
right,
But this all what we're talking about is Old Testament laid out in the Old Testament.
right. So the Old Testament gives the history of how the world was actually formed and the people and the nations of the world, or at least in that part of the world at that time. Let's say that.
Right.
Okay. Um, so that right there is showing that the Egyptians and the Israelites were black. Right. So anyway, make a long story short, that's just one way of showing this. Okay. But then we take a look at the 12 tribes, and everybody talks about Jews. All right. This
Yeah.
is where it gets kind of it's kind of I can't say crazy, but it to me it's a little crazy. So the term Jew is nothing more. It's actually a shortened form of the word Judean. Okay. Um,
Right. Someone from Judah.
someone who lived in Judea. Okay. But then also
Mhm.
you had to be a member of the tribe or a member of the tribe of Judah. Okay. Because Judah was a man. That's one of Israel's sons. Judah was a man.
Mhm.
Okay. And he had a bloodline. And I'm going to show you this bloodline. All right. So Judah was a man. Jesus came from the tribe of Judah, right? He was a Judean. He was born. Where was Jesus born? In Bethlehem, right? Where's that?
Mhm.
Judea.
It's right
It's
here
in Judea,
in Judea.
right?
Right.
So he was an Israelite, right? Jesus for sure was an Israelite because he came from the 12 tribes of Israel. So that um, he came from the tribe of Judah, and his bloodline shows it. right? So
Mhm.
if you go back in the Bible and look at Jesus' bloodline, it shows the tribe of Judah all the way through, right? So with that
Mhm.
being said, um, even when they get ready to crucify Jesus, and the Romans were mocking Jesus, and they said, so you're the king of the Jews. What were they really saying? You're king of the Judeans. You see, so that term Jew was just an abbreviation. They just shortened it for being a Judean. All right, and being a Judean was a person who lived in Judea. Period, or from the tribe of Judah. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the
So
other,
so you
I've
had
got a
you keep in mind that at this time, well, actually, the 10 northern tribes, which was Israel, were gone. Okay, so all you had was the southern kingdom of Judea or Judah, which was left. And now those tribes that made up of Judah were Benjamin, Levi, of course, Judah. So Benjamin and Levi were absorbed into Judah. All right. Now,
and Levi is the priestly class that Moses and Aaron were descendants of.
exactly. So let's get into this. And I just pretty much showed you how they're black, but I'm gonna break it down a little bit further for you. Right. We talk about
Okay.
how the people in Israel right now are claiming to be that's their land and whatever else. Okay, let's take a look at the tribe of Dan. Now, the tribe of Dan, take guess who the tribe of Dan is. It's the Ethiopian. But they call them Ethiopian Jews. Nah, they're not Jews. They're Israelites. Okay, they're
From the tribe of
Israelites.
Dan.
Right.
Okay.
They're these are Israelites. And I can't
And,
for the life of me I can't understand why they called them all Jews when they were not. The only the only house that housed the Jews was the tribe of Judah. That's why they were called Jews. Was the
so
tribe of Judah.
everybody that's now called a Jew, unless they are just direct descended from the house of Judah, do not do not warrant the term Jew.
No, they're Israelites.
However, however, they may warrant the term Israelite.
Yes. Yes.
So there's a difference there. And then we're not going to have time tonight, but we'll get into the separation of uh, uh, Zionism
Right. Right.
as
So
as but we won't tonight. Go ahead with I got a map up, and the map shows the area that was given to Judah, the
mhm,
area given to Simeon, to Reuben, to Gad, to Ephraim, to Dan, to Benjamin, to Manasseh,
right.
um, Issachar, Zebulun, etc.
Right.
So
So here's the thing.
Naphtali and Asher.
Right. So here's the thing. Israel is a people. It's the people. It's not a state. You see,
Mm-hmm.
it's a people.
Yeah.
Israel is a people. It's not the state. But here, furthermore, I just want to show you through bloodlines, okay, and DNA. And I talked about the tribe of Dan and the Ethiopians, right? It's the so-called Ethiopian Jews, but they're Israelites. They're black, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So let's take a
Yeah.
look at the bloodline. Remember I talked about the tribe of Judah? How many of you people ever seen Haley Selassie?
I
Now,
have.
okay, you've seen Haley Selassie. I wonder how many people in your audience have seen Haley Selassie. So Haley Selassie was an Ethiopian,
Right.
but he was
And
a
unless you're a newsie or you're a I don't know if many people would even know who he was, that he
right.
was an
Right. So
African emperor.
right. He was the emperor of the Ethiopian emperor, right? The 1930s, maybe a little prior, before maybe 1900s to maybe 1930, but he was the emperor of Ethiopia. Now listen to this. He's a direct descendant of King Menelik the First. King Menelik was the son of King Solomon of the Solomon dynasty, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then also Queen of
Son of
Bathsheba.
David.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So He was King Melanick was the son of King Solomon and Bathsheba. Bathsheba was an Ethiopian woman, but yet King Solomon came from the tribe of Judah. He was a black man.
And there's a theory that when Jerusalem was raided, that they took the Ark of the Covenant, which holds the Ten Commandments and Moses' staff, among other objects, allegedly, took it to Ethiopia, and it's
Right,
still in a church in Ethiopia.
right,
Is
right.
one of
But
the
see,
theories.
but here's the thing. Keep in mind. You see, everyone's drawn those lines, right? Ethiopia,
Because there has to be a connection, or you couldn't draw those lines.
right? So when you draw those boundary lines, so because Ethiopia at that time all went down all the way to Somalia, to what is their present day Somalia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, in between Somalia and Ethiopia is what country? Kenya.
Kenya.
What does Kenya mean? Does anyone here know what Kenya means? Kenya means nest of Yah. Kenya. Ken means nest, Yah, and Yah is of Yahweh, right? So it's a nest of
Mm-hmm.
Yahweh, nest of Yah. But then also could also mean Ken. I think in Hebrew means yes, Yah, yes, God.
Yes to God. Yes.
You see. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
furthermore, a lot of people, sit there and say, "Oh, well, the Ark of the Covenant is in, should we say, Ethiopia?" But like I said, Kenya at that time was southern Ethiopia. So
And
it's
by the
irrelevant.
way, the as a little antidote to that story, there is one guardian of the Ark of the Covenant in this church. The church is highly guarded. One person is in charge and does not ever leave the premises. Um, is there They go in like when they're 33 years old, and they're in there for their entire life, and they all come from a bloodline.
Right? Exactly. You see. So here, let's get back to King Melanick the first, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about Haile Selassie. So Haile Selassie, of course, is a direct descendant of King Melanick, who was also black, which means, and if you take a look at Haile Selassie's picture, you know that he's black too, right? But here's the thing: they're black. Now you got two tribes so far, right? Which I'm talking about. We're going to talk about the tribe of Dan, who are the Ethiopians, right? They were black. Then we talk about the tribe of Judah, and here's a direct descendant of the tribe of Judah, whose name was Haile Selassie. He's black. Let's get into the tribe of Levi, right? Now the tribe of Levi, which was the priestly class of people, that Moses and Aaron came from them, right? Now
Mm-hmm.
there's a group in southern Africa, right, South Africa right now, called the Lemba people. All right, and I want everyone to research this. The Lemba people have what we call this. A genetic study showed that 50% of the males in the Buba clan had the Cohen marker, right? A proportion which is higher than what is found in the Jewish population. So these people, the Lemba people, have more, should we say, genetic DNA, the Cohen gene, right, or DNA, than the regular Jewish people. All right, and these people are black. All right, so we can sit there and say that I'm showing you out of three out of the 10 tribes, right, that they are black. Okay, it's clear.
And
So
if
how
people
is
are
it?
wondering,
Go ahead.
if people are wondering why there is no land for the Levites, no land for the tribe of Levi, it's because they were the priestly clan, um, and they weren't supposed to have land. They were supposed to live off of um, offerings at the temple.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if they had any land at all, it would be Jerusalem city and the temple and the temple mound, because that's how Levites. That's where the Levites made their money.
Right. So here I've just given you three tribes. Okay. Dan, Levi, and Judah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those three tribes I've shown you that they were black. Okay. And when I say black, that doesn't necessarily mean like Western African black. Okay. Because like I said, the term Cushite means black. It was Ethiopia, right? So you got the Ethiopian / Jews, but not Jews, but Israelites in Israel now, and they're not white, they're black. Okay, you have this Lemba, you have the Lemba people, the Lemba tribe in South Africa, who are showing their bloodline and their DNA in this Y chromosome, showing that they're directly descendants from the tribe of Levi, and they're the priestly tribe, and Moses and Aaron were from the same tribe,
Mm-hmm.
and they were black. And then we go into Judah, and I talked about King Melanick the First, whose parents were right Solomon and Bathsheba, and then Melanick's son, which was not Melanick's son, but a direct descendant of King Melanick, which was Haile Selassie, the emperor of Ethiopia, who was also a black man. You see, that's bloodline stuff. You see the bloodline, which I'm talking about. So,
Absolutely.
So these people were all black, and the remnants are here. It's clear as day. You see. So
Yeah.
how is it that you have these people in Israel today who have blonde hair and blue eyes
that are claiming it's their land?
Exactly. These are Indo-European people. Okay. Now, the languages I would expect them to speak would be like Germanic languages or Romance languages. Now, keep in mind, Hebrew is an Afro-Asiatic language. Did you know that?
Yes.
It is an
But
Afro-Asiatic
because I
language.
went to seminary. Yeah.
Right. That's an Afro-Asiatic language. Now, how are you, as a European or an Indo-European, speaking an Afro-Asiatic language of Hebrew, which they don't?
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I take a look at things from a historical standpoint, okay, from a linguistical standpoint, okay, from a DNA standpoint and a lineage standpoint, right? I have yet to see any Israeli say, hey, you know what? Here's my bloodline. I'm connected to the tribe of Judah. I want to see that.
I'm sure they exist, but yeah, we don't. It's not going to be anybody that's leading anybody of any significance in Israel,
right?
Because I think we've shown all of them. Their roots are actually in Europe,
right,
and countries outside of Israel.
Right.
All right, in kind of wrapping this all up, the map we're showing here. This obviously is a very old map, the 12 tribes of Israel. And instead of the Mediterranean Sea, it's listed as the Great Sea, which is, biblical as well. And we come down here to Philistia. Oh, there we go. Hold on. Come on. There we go. Philistia. And we see, dang, this is so touchy. We see Gaza as just a city on this ancient map. Philistia, should that be should the lineage of Philistia be considered the Palestinia?
You know what? I don't know.
I don't either. It's just awfully coincidental if it's not.
Right.
But Yeah, but I don't know that. And um, on Friday, when we get back together on Friday evening, um, we'll talk about Palestine. We'll talk about Palestinian. We'll talk about Gaza, the West Bank, not the war part of it, um, but the more the what we've done tonight with the Israeli, with the Jew um, terms. We'll do the same. We'll do some research, and on Friday we'll talk about whether this is, whether this legitimately could be considered Palestine, and has that been their land for these thousands and thousands of years? Does that
Right.
sound good?
Yeah, it's because I, I was kind of um, when I first started, I didn't have the correct flow, but
Mhm.
I kind of wanted to, break it, just give everyone paint a picture for everyone of
Yeah,
the generations of Noah, to where um, we got to the 12 tribes, you know.
just yeah. And the important thing is, and one of the reasons I'm talking about all this and asking people to open your minds a little bit is because so many people claim Christianity based just on John 3:16, um, that if you believe in Jesus, you're going to be saved, basically. And that's not what Jesus says at all. He makes it really clear that you may know me, but it doesn't mean I know you.
That's right.
Jesus said that more than once. So if um, if that day comes and somebody in the white race sees a black Jesus and says, "Oh, this isn't," don't condemn yourself to eternal hell and damnation just because you don't have understanding, because the
Right.
Bible talks a lot about having understanding.
Right. But yeah,
So
just yeah. So, but
that's why
just
we're tossing this out.
yeah. So, and, just in closing, Barry, I just want the people to remember that, excuse me, that Israel was the people. Okay.
Yeah, it's not the land.
Exactly. It's the people, as you can see, right?
Yeah.
So, that's the takeaway from what I wanted to speak about tonight. But I think we're gonna get a little bit deeper into it on Friday, um, because this is really important. That these Israelis have, should we say, have not been 100% truthful about,
With their history or their claims,
exactly.
and
Yeah,
thus with the justification of what's going on. You know,
exactly.
this all plays into that.
Hmm. Certainly does. And then, like I
And
said, I felt really bad for the Lemba people because they are truly, they are Judeans, right? They truly came from that tribe. Truly came from Judea, right? And it's funny that the Jewish, um, the European Jews are kind of saying, well, you're not like real, you're not real Jews, you're not. I'm looking at them like, wow, like these are by far this is the tribe of Levi right here in front of your face. This is the bloodline, and you're gonna sit there and say that they're not real Jews. Like, you got balls, you know, to even sit there and say
yeah,
something like that. I was really annoyed about that one. I really was. But anyway, um, that's kind of just takeaway for this evening. I think we're gonna get a little bit deeper into it on Friday. So
we will. Yeah,
yeah,
and we'll talk about talk about Philistia, and whether that is, we'll talk about where the Palestinians came from as well,
exactly.
because if I'm not mistaken, I think they were prominent in that area, including the Sinai Peninsula.
Yes.
Um, Even though I don't. Um, we'll get into it on Friday.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right.
Okay. So I want to say I hope everyone learned a little bit tonight. and then we'll talk again on Friday
We gave him something to think about.
for sure.
All right. We'll see
All
you
right.
Friday. Thank you, brother.
Okay, you take.
That's Chris. And I pop back over here for just a second. Chris will be back with us Friday. Normally we do it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but Wednesday we're going to have the fourth Republican primary presidential debate on. We'll do a watch party and cover that. Hello, Jamie Lewis. Good to see you here. Nancy McMonarch. Another +1 adventure. While serving a warrant in Arlington, Virginia, house completely explodes. Whoa. Okay, I'll be checking into that. Thank you. Thank you for that tip. The blast could be heard in D.C. Wow. Okay, I'll dig into that. I may be on tomorrow with an update on this. So we will see you at some point. Hopefully Wednesday night you'll join us for the watch party. If not, you'll be back Friday with Chris when he's back on at 9:00, and we do the Smart People Show. Just give you things to think about. We don't tell you what to think or how to think. Just give you things and hope that you do indeed think. And if you like what you see, hit the like button, please. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. If you're a subscriber, hit the notification. Hopefully they tell you when we're going to be on. And if you'd like to help support the show, the best way to do that is Cashapp, $American Doofus, all one word. Email me, americandufus@gmail.com. And until next time, namaste, shalom, shalom, assalamu alaikum. Blessings from the Most High for those that desire them. Positive vibrations for everybody. And of course, peace. Love y'all like chocolate chip cookies. It is a dark world, my friends. We can still light it up. It's a dark world. Be alive.